was still a limo. The folks never knew the difference. They were in a limo.
Right.
And this was with GQ, and they had their record sitting in the park. So we did a picnic in the park for GQ, and it was so interesting that the city of Montgomery told me I couldn't do anything else there because I caused a riot.
What?
It wasn't a riot. It's just a bunch of folks wanted to see GQ.
Yeah.
Nobody was hurt. Everybody was happy. The kids was out there, but they weren't prepared for it.
So then, when you're working with these artists and doing the promotions, when they hit milestones like a platinum record and so on, is that some of that credit attributed to you because you're actually on the street making sure that their sales?
Absolutely not. The record business is also very racial. As soon as an artist hits platinum or does multiple sales, they take them totally out of the black division and put them in the pop division, and all the budgets go with them, and you don't see them anymore. You have nothing to do with them again, which is really wrong because, to give you an idea, they did that to Ray Parker Jr., who had a huge record with Ghostbusters, but you can't tell me another record after that.
Right, I can't.
They did the same thing with Dionne Warwick, who had a record called Deja Vu. On the flip side of the 45 was called I'll Never Love This Way Again, which is the record Clive Davis wanted. Deja Vu hit. It was on the same record. But you never heard another record out of her again. And on and on and on. Once they do multiple sales like that, it's on. I got platinum records for those artists, gold records for those artists. For Ray, for Dionne, for Tom Brown, Funkin' for Jamaica, for GQ, Disco Nights.
And I guess that's what my question is. When you say you got gold records for them, is that because the sales came through you, and that's how you got a gold record for them, or what does that mean?
It means they give you a gold record instead of money. You don't
as an award.
You don't make no advance, even though
you don't make a commission.
I was regional at EMI. I had North, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee.
Okay.
I had the highest percentage of sales in those regions ever in the history of the company. I went to the national conference in in Palm Desert, and I had one-on-one with the president, the national director of promotion, pop promotion, and the president, who was James Mazza at the time. And they told me that even though I had the biggest sales, even though I had the most records played, they couldn't put me in as promotion man of the year because I hadn't come through the company. They had to promote somebody else, which I knew was some mess. So I said, okay. They said, well, what do you want? I says, I want you to stop paying me and give me 1% of the sales in my area. I knew that I had just done almost 3 million Kenny Rogers in my area. They hadn't, I had. And so I asked them for 1%. They looked at me and laughed. And within 3 months, they had fired me. The way I look at it, I was too intelligent. I couldn't get that kind of money. So that's the way the record industry is set. It's not set to be fair. Today's industry, and I guess we'll talk about it later, is a really different industry.
When you say different, you mean like in the way sales are made on the streets, and now it's all online, it's all web, it's all digital.
It's direct to consumer.
Right.
The overhead is gone.
Yeah.
The major label contract had the artists pay for the label put the money up, but the artists was responsible for payment of the recording, part of the manufacturing, the marketing and promotion total, the producer that produced the product, their payment, and up to 10% of the packaging costs to manufacture the product. And all that was payable before you made any money back to the label. So now, you know that's not fair. Anybody that hears that is like, what? But that was what the deal was. They would give you $100,000, $200,000. You didn't get cash.
You got credit.
You didn't even get credit. You would go to the studio and record the product and pay the producer. And if you didn't cut some under the table deal, they paid the producer. They didn't pay you. They paid the studio. They didn't pay you, but you owed the money. Out of $200,000, if you walked home between 35 and 50, you really had done something.
And you, let's say you walked out with 30,000 and you had made a recording, and that's all the money you're gonna see until you hit some kind of sales number.
Yeah, you made the recording. I remember when Rhythm Nation came out with Janet Jackson. That was the highest percentage deal in the history of the record industry, and she was making 24%. The highest. So she was making 24 cents on every dollar that came in, and her 24% had to pay back all that money that they used to market and promote it.
Right.
They don't pay. If they made $1 million or $1,000, only 24% of that $1,000 was applied to you.
So you had to come in with the talent and front the money up on what it's going to take to get your record out and promoted and sold. Pretty much. Except
pretty much.
Except the company's fronting some of that money for now.
Well, what I did after I saw what was going on that well, and really after EMI fell out, I said no more, and I went and started my own firm. And a guy used to tell me, a Yiddish guy used to tell me, that's a left-handed favor. So that firing me really gave me the impetus to get up and go make my own. And I've never worked for another company since then. One time, I worked for KTEL for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good money. They had a lot of money. But I had my own company then from that point on to today.
And your focus in that company has been to...
My focus has been to create a positive revenue stream for independent entertainment companies. So that covers publishing, that covers artists that are doing records, that covers studios and producers that just want to produce music. It covers distribution because I've got I'm 9 years into a digital distribution deal with the Orchard, which now is owned by Sony. So it's the biggest there is on the planet. So it covers all those kind of situations. Back then it was just straight promotion, getting records played. But once I got acclimated and found a partner, we started making our own. I could get them played and sold. Let's go make our own. And I partnered with Jose Armada.
Okay.
From Miami, senior and junior. Senior owned Caribbean manufacturers. So we made our own at cost.
Your own CDs and...
Wasn't no CDs when we started.
Oh, okay.
It was 8-track tapes. 8-track tapes and vinyl. And then cassettes started to get real popular. As they got popular, Armada Sr. went to North Carolina and came back with a cigarette packaging machine. And he and his guys physically altered that machine to package cassettes. So then we started making high-speed loading cassettes right there in the plant, packaging and selling them. So now we're doing 45s, we're doing 12 inches. 12 inches became huge at one point. We're doing 25, 12 inches cassettes. When CDs came in, we started doing duplication and replication of CDs. Our own artwork. We had our own studio. I opened up 3 publishing houses. So we was totally self-contained. We were so big that when Luke hit, he came to us for all his manufacturing deals. And we were manufacturing, that was when Eastern Airlines was flying. And we'd have a container pickup every day full of products going out. And we did pretty well.
Nice. Now that everything is digital and a download, how is that business, and how are you you travel a lot? I know you went to Europe recently, or you went to Asia. You got an Asian deal. So how does the industry work, and how do you make it work for you? Because you're still in the business.
Yeah. Ernie Singleton, as I told you, was the guy that got me started. Told me, he says, you're one of the few guys that keeps reinventing yourself. And I see what's happening. And I try to make my world happen around it. So, the digital, I was a baiter. Let me go back. In 1994, I put my first website up, and people called me crazy. But I had I was the number 7 music website at Yahoo when we went up. I got awards. I was in the top 5% of the internet traffic for a while, because the traffic is nowhere near what it is today. But I used that to continue to market and promote the artists that I owned. And I started reaching other markets. I reached Japan. And we had the first bass music deal in Japan with a fledgling company then called AVAX. AVAX now is second only by Sony in all of Asia. So I set up the different deals that we had and set them up utilizing the internet back then. And as it grew, I just had to keep doing stuff. I mean, I went through the AOL phase. I went through the phone company had a line I thought was fast, but it turned out not to be as fast as the cable when it came in.
DSL or something?
DSL, yeah. I went through the DSL and then the cable and then the high-speed cable. But I kept my web presence. A guy called me one day. He says, I see you stay online. I said, yeah. He says, you ever thought about distributing online? I said, yeah, let's do it. And it turned out that they were creating a company called IOTA. And so I got in as a beta test for IOTA and started distributing records. I didn't make money, but I did start putting product through. And as IOTA grew, I grew. And I did several things for them over the years. Conferences, and we did an internet video conference from San Francisco and Orlando and tied it in, and we had viewers from around the world. And they kind of looked at that, it was new and intriguing at the time. So Sony came in and bought 48% of IOTA. Within 7 weeks, 8 weeks, IOTA and the Orchard, which was the same thing as IOTA in Europe. IOTA was the largest in America, digital aggregator. The Orchard was the largest outside of America. they merged and became the world's largest